Hello, and welcome to Soul Play, where we explore the art of living with curiosity, connection, and creativity. I'm your host, Sarah Benlaw, and I'm so incredibly grateful you're here. Throughout my journey, I've crossed paths with remarkable individuals, guests who join us here to share their wisdom, stories, and practical insights. These inspiring voices are shaping a better world, offering perspectives and tools that my younger self would have loved to discover. Soul Play is more than just a podcast. It's an invitation for all of us to show up authentically, reclaim our power, and reconnect with the essence of who we truly are. Today's guest is Yuval Fluke Birman. Fluke is the co-founder of Wonderland Healing Center, School of Life, WonderVillage, and the Inner Walk program. After a successful 30-year career in technology and business, he shifted his focus to mindfulness, Buddhism, Daoism, and the study of the mind. Living and learning with Buddhist monks, he immersed himself in spiritual practices to help others enhance their quality of life. Today, he leads transformative retreats, integrating his diverse teachings to support personal growth and healing. Fluke believes that everyone has the capacity to raise their quality of life through internal observation, mindful acceptance, and a surrender to the natural flow and joy of life. Fluke invites us into a radically simple yet transformative way of being. In this deep and nourishing conversation, we explore how to observe the mind without being ruled by it, how to move from reaction to response, and what it means to live with patience, compassion, and simplicity. We talk inner walk, training versus thinking, building intentional community, and finding your way back to play, presence, and peace. Whether you're feeling stuck, curious about mindfulness, or simply ready to hear your own voice beneath the noise, this episode's for you. Without further ado, I welcome Yuval Fluke Birman. Fluke, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for your time. It's such a pleasure to be sitting here having an intentional conversation. I remember the first time I met you was at Inner Walk, which I know we'll get into a little bit further. And I was really enthralled by what you were up to and your devotion to helping people help themselves. And I'm really looking forward to getting into it today with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to begin, if you don't mind taking a moment to introduce yourself and let us know why you're here.
Yeah. It's the funniest question to ask me. I'm actually used to talk with people, and then just before we leave, I say who I am and what's my name. And it feels to me always very weird to introduce yourself. It's like, let's talk about what we do, and then you'll know me, and why should I introduce myself? But I understand that we are talking with people all over the world, so well, basically, I'm 47 these days soon. I have 2 kids, and I'm living in Koh Phangan, an island on south of Thailand, and living in a place that is called Wonderland. That it's a place that people come to do their own personal work, like from yoga and meditation and other modalities of self-development. But it's also a place that my community and my family is living. So we are a group of people who live in this place, and we run this place together. And we do other projects together, such as Inner Walk and WonderVillage and other things that we do. All that we do is in the realms of self-development and community and stuff like this. And my personal journey is basically, I come from business and technology, and I slowly started to dissolve out of this reality 16 years ago when I lost my responsibility of going to work in the office and stuff like this. And since then, I basically spend my time with people. And we talk about stuff. I'm very open to talk about everything. And the main field of what I do is helping people to go through self-development processes and understand themselves better, and intentionally in the idea of improving quality of life, I will say. That's my main work is about. And I'm happy to share this with anyone. I don't work for money. I get my support from the Wonderland community, so I get where to live and food, and all my basic needs are and my visa to live in Thailand and all of those things. And I meet people, so it's never related to money. I don't charge for the work that I do. And I work under the same umbrella of the entire Inner Walk organization, which is a non-profit organization that provides these services for people. So yeah, that's where I am. That's where I am. I wasn't born Fluke. It's a name that I got in Thailand 11 years ago. They couldn't say my name, so they gave me the name Fluke. And Fluke is lucky. And I actually feel that I'm probably one of the most luckiest people living on this planet At least that's my feeling. And I really like to share and to spend time with people.
I feel that from you. And, when I was reading on the website for Wonderland, like your role in life is really to converse with people, to help people integrate their experiences, to really deal with having a human mind. I think that's something I remember from Inner Walk with you, and I was so profoundly impacted, was you really deep into getting into what is thinking, what does it mean to have a mind, and how do we dance with this and live well and suffer well rather than being entrenched in so much pain and suffering. So I'd love to get into that topic, really, like the technology of the mind that you know so well.
Yeah, the first thing I like to say about the mind is that, you have hands, you have legs, you have kidneys, you have heart. If I ask you, what does the heart do? You can explain it very practically, and like what is your legs is responsible for, or your hands, or your mouth, or your tongue, and it's like every organ and every piece of this system, so-called, have a purpose and a reason, and it's serving something. And so, like, what is the mind? Like, what does it serve? Yeah, and I think that what is very difficult to us to perceive, that it's actually sometimes I like to call it like a creative soap bubble machine. So this bubble machine that spread bubbles into the air, and the mind is like the creative soap bubble machine. It basically gives you ideas. Maybe you should eat this, maybe you should eat this, maybe you should go there, maybe you shouldn't do this, maybe you do this. And so your mind is constantly providing ideas for you. And what we kind of got confused with the years is that we believe that we need to do everything that he's saying. Instead of like someone is giving you an advice and it's up to you to choose what you do with this advice. And it's like hiring a lawyer to support you going through a divorce process, or hiring a lawyer that helps you to run the company. But you're still running the company and you're still the one who's going through the divorce. The lawyer is just a consultant that presents you with the issues and the possibilities of choosing each decision that you're making. But it's you that need to make the decisions, and the lawyer is just to give suggestion. He's just a consultant, and the mind is the same. He's just a consultant. And when we start to understand he's just giving you advices, and let's say if he tells you to scream, it doesn't mean that you have to scream. He's just presenting you an option that screaming might assist you at this moment. Maybe it's not.
An invitation.
It's an invitation, yeah. The thing is that because through the years we got so identified with everything that he is saying, so we actually do everything that he is saying. And now when I'm telling you, you have to choose, like, I don't feel that I can choose. It's like, I don't have the possibility. And that's where my work is becoming more interesting. Like, I like to ask, what is the difference between a reaction and response? Yeah, and just asking these questions brings, I think, a lot into our observation state now. Like, oh, well, I didn't think about this. Well, reaction is something that is coming automatically, and a response is like I'm choosing what to do.
There's a pause there.
There is a microsecond of an option. Yeah? So if you do something and it triggers this anger in me, and now I'm going to scream at you as a reaction, yeah? So that's, I'm not choosing, I'm just following my reaction. My mind is telling me to scream, and I'm screaming. But if I understand this and I go from a reaction state to a response state, so I can choose. I should scream at you. Maybe I shouldn't say anything now. You know what? I choose to scream. And I will scream. So I can still scream. It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to do something. I'm just choosing if I want to do it or not. Because in most of our life, we do things and then later on we kind of reflecting back and saying, why did I do this? And like, this was really stupid. Like, I really fucked it up. Huh? Now I need to apologize, now I need to fix it, and so on and so on. And so how do I transcend from reaction to response? And that's, I think, the main riddle in life. Because once you are transcending into a response state, you can use all the knowledge that you have and all the wisdom that you collected with the years, and you can actually act on your higher self and not just from the monkey state that we are. And so I think that's where the work is, understanding this.
Absolutely, and becoming an active participant, right? I just keep hearing choice and being a conscious being who's choosing to do what we want rather than this autopilot, which seems to be ruling much of humanity. So when people come to you and they've identified that they are being ruled, by this mode, this autopilot, like where do we go from here? How do we understand the idea of thinking and conscious decision making?
So I think that one of the things that I always like to talk about is that your thoughts and emotions are constantly moving, and I usually make an act and I play it with my hand, and I constantly move my hands and in thoughts and emotions movement. And then what is happening is there is me that is holding on to the thoughts and emotions, and it's like we're constantly moving together. And what my job is now is to learn how to let go of holding my thoughts and emotion. And so my thoughts and emotions can move, but I don't need to follow them. Yeah? And understanding how to do this is basically the mechanics of being more in the choice place than in the reaction place. And doing this will be done by actually practicing certain muscles. And so let's say what we're mostly thinking is that we can win thinking by thinking. And it actually cannot happen. So at this point, our conversation now is becoming irrelevant anymore. Because the more I'm going to talk, I'm just trying to win it by talking. And we need to move from talking to training. And the way I'm looking at this is like, let's say you want to run a marathon, and I will explain you what you need to do. You need to eat every day like this and this, and you need to do this kind of training, and you need to go to sleep at these points, and you need to eat these substances, and you need to go to the gym in this hour, and so on. And okay, you got me? Okay, now you cannot run a marathon yet. You just understood what you need to do, but it will not change your capacity to run. You actually need to go and do the training itself. And that's what people actually refusing to accept most of the time. That to shift from a place of reaction to response, from a place of being controlled by my mind to a place of freedom, it does not require thinking. It requires training. And that's where people basically don't like to move on. So they like to continue listening, they like to continue talking, but the training itself is something that we don't like to do so much. And my entire life work is basically finding ways to motivate people to do the training and not finding ways of talking about it more and more and more. So there is a place for talking, there is a place for training. We can debate how to train and understanding what is the training. But the training is basically pointing us to understand how not to control the mind and how to observe the mind. So something that can help us do it, and people do a lot, is actually people do a lot of, I call it freestyle writing. So you take a piece of paper and you just write whatever is your mind is saying. You just write it and write it. And when you get to the end of the page, you don't read what you wrote. You're not allowed to read what you wrote, and you burn the page. So there is no keeping the content. It's just practicing to allow the mind to express itself freely on a piece of paper. And if he's talking about food, he's talking about food. If he's talking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow. If he's talking about what happened 5 years ago, whatever happened 5 years ago, that's what we write. And there is no expectation in any level from the mind to have a certain quality of the conversation. So the content can be as stupid and boring as hell. It's not important. Just allowing the mind to express itself and me being with that. And now I'm training myself to be with my thoughts. And the writing helps me to be present with it. Because what is very common is that when I'm just sitting and I'm allowing my mind to talk, I'm actually losing myself in the thinking. And I'm not being present with it. So when I'm doing it in writing, it helps me to actually observe the process of what my mind is saying. But I'm not judging it. And by not judging it, I'm not going to read it again. and I'm not going to check what I wrote, and as soon as I finish, I burn it. So there is no trace for it. It's just been there for me to practice me observing my thoughts. But funny enough, I have severe dyslexia, and I can barely read and write. And so I actually never studied in any system, school or anything, and that's also kind of limiting me from doing this practice. It's very challenging for me to write. It takes a lot of effort for me, the writing itself, so my mind cannot be free when I'm writing. But for many, many people, the writing process is working very well. And lucky enough, about 7 years ago, I went to practice with a monk here in Copenhagen that I knew him for before, and we had like a really good connection, but I never went to practice with him. And what he told me to do was something that seems to be at the beginning very stupid and silly. He told me to walk between two walls, a distance about 15 meters. This practice is called today inner walk, but back then it wasn't even called inner walk. And what he told me is you just walk between the two walls back and forth, and just normal speed. Don't try to control your speed. Don't think about meditation. Don't think about focus. Don't think about your breath. Don't try to maintain any sense of control of anything that you do. Just walk back and forth and let your mind talk. And what happened is that while you're walking from one side to another, you're diving into the thinking, but as you get to the wall, something wakes you up, because if you're not going to wake up, you're going to hit the wall. So something in your body kind of waking you up into the present moment again, and then you're kind of starting to notice what your mind is doing. And as you're turning around and coming back, you fall again into the thinking, and then as you get to the wall, you wake up again. So you fall again, and you wake up, and you fall again, and you wake up. And between diving into the thinking and waking up, slowly you become more and more present with your thinking and less controlled by your thinking. So this practice actually trained me to observe my thoughts and not to follow them. And slowly what is happening is the next time that I just living my life and you saying something that is very annoying, and the condition inside of me start to wake up, and my anger and my tension is waking up, actually something else is also waking up, and that's me observing this happening. So instead of following this movement inside of me, I can observe this movement and be with it. And as I be with it, suddenly the tension inside of it is starting to break out. And then instead of like feeling the anger, I'm just seeing what's happening, and then I can actually choose. And sometimes I will choose to act in an angry way. But mostly what I realize that I choose to act in different ways. Either wait 5 minutes, and then some wisdom is coming up, and then I can handle the situation differently. So let's say if you throw a stone at me, you actually believe that I did something wrong. And if I'm reacting to this stone, I will probably throw another stone at you. This will make you react to the stone that I'm throwing at you, and you throw another one at me, and so on and so on. But if actually I can wait a second and I can see that you throw a stone at me because you're confused, you don't understand me. Or maybe I can see what I did that caused you to do this. And so I can break the cycle of hate and anger and frustration, let's say, in that case. And so suddenly I can behave differently. So this practice of walking, and I walked quite a few hours between two walls. We'll not get into the numbers, but I walked quite a lot because my mind had a lot of tension and stories to resolve. I started to see that this force that allows me to observe and not to react is becoming more available to me, actually not in the practice itself, actually in real life. When I'm sitting with friends in the restaurant, when I'm dealing complicated situations with family or business or stuff like this, and that basically became the path that I started to train people to do the same thing, and so on and so on.
Wow, yeah, and what work you're doing. Thank you for the practical tips. You know, you're offering a multitude of things here for writing. It is really powerful for people, and the idea of non-attachment, so burning it at the end and just a sense of allowance and giving yourself a bit of a job rather than sitting on the cushion and meditating, right? So meeting people where they're at. I can attest to Inner Walk and the amount of hours that you yourself have devoted the ripple in the world that you've created for people that have come here physically and experienced inner walk here on Copenhagen, and then also continuing that practice. We all have some physical walls in our lives, right? And we can really incorporate this into our lives so readily, and the results are so powerful. To be able to be a watcher of your mind and truly observe rather than being shackled by thoughts, sign me up. Wow.
There is something that if people would understand this, I think that can be really beneficial. Our minds create a lot of stuff. Many of it is subconscious, so we don't even see it, but we act on it. Yes? And when I start to learn to be with my mind and not to react to it, my mind starts to accept, to show me everything that exists inside of me. So nothing is being hidden from my system, because a lot of it's subconscious. And when it's become conscious, the tension starts to dissolve. And then it doesn't control me anymore. And when I'm saying being with everything, I'm saying being with, as horrible as my mind can be, learning to be with that part. Because whenever I'm trying to run away from my mind, the condition stays there and continue to control me. So, some people tells me that their minds creates really horrible thoughts, like nasty ones, like things that you would go to prison if you will do. Really bad stuff, But if you can learn to be with it, and I'm not saying sitting in bed and allowing the mind to do whatever he wants is actually the way to do it. It's actually, you should use a modality. Either it's the writing or the walking or whatever you find beneficial for you. But finding a modality that helps you to stay centered with your thoughts and observe them, they will slowly start to break out from you and dissolve away. I'm not saying that your mind will be silent, but you will not need to follow everything that he is saying. And so you'll be free from the noise of your mind. And when we are allowing ourselves to be with those negative thinking and challenging thoughts and just observe them, we start to see that something really starting to shift. And I'm not saying that using positive thinking modalities is a bad thing, but also being able to be with the negative is relevant. So, for example, if now I'm in a business meeting and my mind starts to say nasty things, and it's not the time for me to be with these nasty thoughts, I can use a positive thinking modality of saying, no, everything is beautiful, the world is nice, and we're going to achieve beautiful things today. It's like, it's okay, I pushed away the negative for a moment, because now I cannot handle the negative. But if I don't find time to allow myself to be with the negative, this negative will keep coming back and chasing me, and it's not important how many positive modalities I will use. The negative will keep chasing me, and I will keep fighting for life all the time. And in order to actually be free in a positive state, I need to find the time to be with the negative parts of me. And I'm not saying that you need to try to create negativity in you, just learning to be with whatever the mind is saying. If it's negative or positive, being neutral with whatever he's saying. And being neutral with whatever he's saying is training the mind to know his place. You're just giving advices. You're not deciding the experience that I'm going to have in life. You're just giving advices. And that's the skill that we're trying to develop.
Yes, I hear that. And these negative thoughts carry quite a charge. They influence our whole lives, right? So by pushing it down, pushing it away, it just wants to be heard more. It comes knocking, but really providing it some space to just be, then that is the training, it sounds like.
If you ever had a child or took care of a baby, little kid, I think it's very easy to identify that when you're having this child who's saying, Mommy, I need something, and it's just like, and she doesn't have the time now because she's on the phone, let's say. She's telling him, not now, I'm busy, I'm on the phone. And 2 minutes will pass and he will come back again and he will want this attention and he will not get this attention, and after 5 minutes he's going to start to break things in the house. And then he's going to be shut down and say, no, you behave in a bad way, you have to go now to your room. And then he will break the room. And he will start to have more rage and anger inside of him. And the moment that you'll actually have time for him and you ask him, okay, I'm with you, what do you need? And he will say, paku, paku, kuku, kuku. There's nothing meaningful, it's like just going to say something. And you see immediately when he gets this intention, it's like he's starting to quiet down. And then he can continue playing with his toys. And what's really happening is that our mind behaves in the same way. He wants our attention. If we're not going to give this attention in the right way, he's just going to scream louder and louder and louder until you cannot hear yourself anymore. And that's basically the same thing. If you train yourself to be with the noise of the mind, you will slowly become quiet and quiet. And then it will be easier to be with your mind. Mm-hmm. So the more you run away from it, the more noisy it will be. Mm-hmm. I like to give this example. A lot of people coming and asking me, I cannot hear my voice, I cannot hear my intuition. It's like, yeah, because there is so much noise around that you cannot hear it. And you need to learn to be with the noise, so the noise will be more quiet, so you can hear your true voice inside of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah? The voice that is not coming from fear and survival. It's like, most of the voices that I hear in my head are fear and survival voices. And actually there is no tiger that is chasing us now. We are not in a life-threatening situation 24/7, but still everything is very strong voice. What I'm going to eat, what I should eat, where should we eat, what time is it now, am I on time, I'm late, I'm not late, and like everything is urgent and noisy.
Psychological tiger.
Yes, psychological tigers, yes, chasing us, demons in the heads, and when we learn to be with the voices, they become more quiet. And then suddenly I can hear, maybe I would like to do some hobby today. What's your hobbies? It's like I ask a lot of people, what are your hobbies? Mm-hmm. And people are like mumbling, they cannot even think of an answer. And this is like, well, why you don't have hobbies in your life? Because everything is very important and urgent. And there is so many tigers that you need to run away from that you don't have time to play.
Yeah, I'm surviving. There's no time to thrive.
Yes, and it's like, really? Like, so what is this purpose of all of your life if you don't have time to play? Everything is about achieving something. It's like, maybe we need to go to work to provide food, and maybe I need to take care of my kids because they need some support, but maybe I also should play a little bit during this life and find things to play with. And so, but I don't have these voices of playing, because playing is very quiet. It's not shouting. Love is very quiet. It's not shouting. Curiosity is quiet. It's not shouting. But fear is screaming. Very loud. So when fear is screaming, I cannot hear the creativity and the playfulness and all of those voices in my life. Yeah? So.
I like that you correlate them like that, because you seem like quite a playful man, not taking life so seriously. Yet a lot of, it's interesting, the paradox here, right? It's so simple. The answers, when you break it down like this, right? There is a way that we can operate with our system and get to know it and sit with the thoughts to the point where you've been together enough, they've been heard and seen, observed, that then you can create that quiet. And that's magical and associated with play. Although getting there is the opposite, like it's challenging. That journey can be very challenging to step outside of whatever people's lives are and really do this work. Like, how do people strike a balance here?
So I will say that the work has two parts. And one part is learning to observe your thoughts, which is very important. I think it's very fundamental. And the other part is understanding the rules of life. I will explain. If all this life, we'll call it a game. So every game has rules and principles. And if you don't understand the rules and the principles of the game, you will probably not enjoy playing the game. Yeah? It's like even if you play a simple card game, and I know the rules and you don't know the rules, and you're going to be very frustrated because you'll not be able to win the game. And if this game that we're playing is about enjoying life, yeah, let's say the purpose of life is to enjoy playing the game, yes, because the purpose of every game is actually enjoy playing the game. Yeah, that's why we play games, in order to enjoy playing them. And so if I don't understand the rules and the principle of the game, I will not enjoy the game, meaning I will suffer. So if I don't want to suffer in life, I better understand the rules and the principles of the game. I'll give one example. Yeah? Let's say if you believe that, let's take the concept of expectations. So when you look at the word expectation, there is a lot of tension inside. Things need to happen in a certain time, in a certain way. If they're not going to happen in that way, I'm going to be frustrated, angry, and so on. So I don't want to be angry and I don't want to get disappointment. So I have a lot of expectations and a lot of process to get to the right place in the right time. So on the way there, I have a lot of tension. And when I'm getting there, I actually have still a lot of tension, because what happens usually is if I don't get what I wanted, I'm angry. And if I get what I wanted, I want more. So I have more expectations because it's not enough. Never it's enough, yeah? So the understanding of the concept of expectations help us a lot to understand suffering, yeah? Now, when I start to see it in my life, that's when I need to observe my thoughts. I now can see my expectations. I can see that I set a meeting with you at 9:30 and now it's 9:32 and I'm very angry now because you disrespect me, you not come on time. Or what happened to her? Maybe something happened. It's 9:32. We set a meeting for 9:30. Maybe she had an accident. You see, now I'm very worried. Yeah. So the expectations create the tension of the worries, but when I'm able to step back from my thoughts and I understand the concept of expectation, I can actually add 1 + 1 and understand. Oh, I created an expectations for you to be here at 9:30, and now I'm angry. So maybe I don't need to be angry. Suddenly it makes sense. Yeah? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have any expectation. I'm just saying when I understand how expectations works inside of me, the tension of expectation is being dissolved. So I can still set a meeting with you for 9:30. I can still have the intention to be there on time and to do the best that I can to come. And I know that you're doing your best to come. And if it happens, it happens. If not, sometimes things not happening the way we plan it. And I can still be happy and enjoy my time and maybe doing something else until you arrive. So when I start to understand the rules of the game and I'm able to observe how they're working through me in life, I can enjoy life better. And basically, half of the work is learning to observe, and that's the challenging part. And the other side is understanding the rules of the game. That's actually way more easy. And the work that we do is the combination of both of them. So let's say if you come to me, I first tell you go do inner walk for 4 days. You go walk. And when you start to walk, you start to see your inner working and you start to observe and you learn the process. And then I tell you, okay, how was your day? If there is anything specifically that was bothering you. And then maybe you will share with me something like, I'm still having these repetitive thoughts about my parents. You know, they've been really bad people. They didn't raise me in the right way. And they should have done a better work. And you know, I think that my parents need to be re-educated. And they need to, you know, all the stories that we have about our parents so many times. And, you know, and then maybe I can guide you to see that you're actually expecting things that are not meeting the rules of reality. And you understand the rules of reality in the wrong way. And maybe I can present you different way to look at the things. Maybe your parents also have conditions, same as you have. And they were raised in a certain way. And they believe in certain things. And they actually did the best that they can do in anything that they try to do in their life. And you just don't think this is the best of the best of the best. But they did their best. And maybe at that point you will start to reflect on your relationship to your parents in a different way. And you will be able to see them differently. And understand that everything that they did were coming from their conditions, from their suffering, from their education. So at that point maybe some letting go of the tension will happen naturally. And then suddenly you will have different relations with your parents or with your partner or with your kids, you know, and it's like, and then suddenly you have way less tension in your life, and suddenly you have less fears in your life, and suddenly you can come and play.
Come and play. And the stakes are high, right? For this space-time continuum, we're here, we have this one life. I'm Sarah Benoit in physical form, and there's so much opportunity to lose or waste or delve into all these spirals of pain and suffering and anguish and anger. And whenever you really do break it down to this, life is a game, let's be informed in the game. Let's actually educate ourselves on what our role is and how we can be active participants. It's really empowering and liberating. Yeah, thank you. And I hear this is a huge part of your work. I also really want to touch on the fact that you're the co-founder of Wonderland Healing Center. You're creating WonderVillage. How do these, how are they born, and how are they helping you meet people to create deeper change for people through conversation?
On the practical reality of this work that we do, there is two elements. One is the physical space, and one is the mental space. And they coexist, and they cannot be separated. We exist mentally, but we exist physically. So first of all, just for us to be able to have this conversation, we need to have a space to have this conversation. And for someone to come and to do inner work, there needs to be a space where you practice and you walk. But in order to have the space to practice and for walking and to meet yourself in that depth, you might need a place to sleep and to relax, and maybe to have a sauna and a cold plunge after you do the walking to release the tension from the practice. And so it's kind of incorporating the physical environment into the mental process. And so our journey is actually to create a space where people can do this type of work that we call it. And let's say, I believe that if people would do a little bit yoga every day, it will help them to transfer and to move and to transcend from one state of mind to another state of mind. So we need to have a yoga teacher, and a yoga teacher need to have a space to do the practice with the people. So we need to create, in reality, the spaces to do this work. And so the group that I work with has basically set the intention to create spaces and possibilities for people to go through transformations, and that's what Wonderland, Inner Work, WonderVillage is all about. And the way that we approach it is that it requires a whole community to support this one person going through his process. So basically what we have done, we have created a place that we all live, and each one is doing his own life, but because we all supporting each other in this greater space of Wonderland, WonderVillage, and so on, we have the time and the patience, and I will say even the courage, as long, to meet people in their challenges and to provide them the space to go through what they need. So it's kind of a mix of us doing everything for ourselves, but while we're doing everything for ourselves, we are creating the spaces for you to come and to enjoy this space and to go through the process that you need to go, if it's a heartbreak or a trauma or just seeking to improve your quality of life. It doesn't need to come from, I'm suffering so much, I need to fix something. It's like, you know what, actually my life is okay, but I feel there is more to it. So we're creating the space for you to go through this transformation. And, I've been asked a while ago this question of, most people that hearing what you're saying are just sitting at home now, and they haven't done anything. They're like thinking how to start. And I say, how it's need to start? Pack a bag and leave your environment for 2 weeks, and don't take anyone that you know with you. Just go alone to a different place and meet yourself outside of the normal circumstances of your life. And in a way, that's what we have created. We have created a space for people to come and to be alone outside of their environment and meet different things and explore different possibilities and see what they can take from that and what maybe changes they want to bring to their life. It's important to say that our mind, without going too deep into the technology of it again, is designed to keep doing what it already knows. So I like to give this example that, let's say I'm in an abusive relationship and my partner is abusing me, physically or mentally. And I'm staying there. I'm not quitting. I'm staying. Why is that? I'm being in an abusive relationship. Why don't quit and go to do something else? Because my mind is programmed to keep doing what happened before. And it feels more safe being in an abusive relationship than quitting the abusive relationship and exploring new ways. And I think that's a very beautiful example to understand why we keep doing what we were trained to do. And just taking a small bag and going out of your life for 2 weeks might create a new path in your life to change something and improve your quality of life. And I think that's the best advice I can give to anyone. Just go on your own for 2 weeks and try to see if there is something out there for you.
See what comes alive. Step away from these confines and boxes and stories and conditionings. It's a very powerful statement, and I agree with you. I mean, that was a big part of my journey, leaving Canada with a backpack and a guitar, and being able to sit with myself, with my mind, be put in new situations that were unknown and potentially once upon a time a bit fearful. The unknown is scary if we're used to that familiar place, but once you step in it, you really realize that that's also where the magic happens and where the play can begin.
For sure.
Yeah.
Getting out of the comfort zone. Actually, one of the modalities that I teach people is how to train themselves to get out of the comfort zone. And basically, I tell people you make a list of all the things that there is no. Like, I don't like to eat a banana. Okay, write it in the list. I don't want to go to the beach. Write it in the list. I prefer not to sit in the sun. Okay, write it in the list. Everything there is kind of avoidance or a no, and you just write it in the list. And then every day or every 3 days, you look at the list and you choose the easiest thing possible in the list to do. And you just, let's say, sit in the sun for 15 minutes, okay? And you just take it out of the list. And so every time that you have a no, you add it to the list. And once in a few days, you just choose something from the easiest thing in the list and you do it. And what is happening is that when you do the first time, you choose level 1, the easiest thing. And then the second thing, it will be level 2. And the third will be level 3. And by the time you get to level 40, your brain is designed to get out of the comfort zone. And it's not even important if the challenge is level 100 or 200, you're already very easy going out of your comfort zone. And basically, you need to train yourself to do something that your mind is telling you no. And it's not about not listening to yourself. It's about telling the mind that you can do the opposite of what he is saying. You have the possibility to choose differently than what your mind is telling you to do. And that's what makes you free from the mind. It's a very beautiful practice, very easy to do. Very easy to do.
Absolutely. You're coming with so many practical tips that are accessible. We all have a mind, we all have all these thoughts and stories, and it's beautiful too, because I see this as a guitar teacher even, right? I can't do that. You can do anything, but let's start with, you can at least do that. You can play, this note, this chord, and seeing that transformation over time, that learning to learn, that understanding that story that you believed you couldn't do it could be dismantled. So if that story can be dismantled, what else can be dismantled, right? And this journey of ticking all these no's off the list and exploring them is a beautiful practice to get there.
It's beautiful to immerse yourself in a structure that is supporting you. And it's also very beautiful to be in a non-structured environment and to learn to support yourself in a non-structure. And my life went from the other side because I wasn't really in the school system. I didn't really study. I basically needed to navigate my life outside of the structure. And so I'm very comfortable outside of the comfort zone. Actually, my comfort zone is having no structure. I'm very comfortable there. And for me, going into a structure is wait, I'm not sure that I want to submit myself into this box. Yeah? And that's actually my path was actually agreeing to be inside a box. When I went to the temple and started to walk with the monk, and I was supposed to walk for 4 days with him, and at the third day he told me you have to walk 6 days. And I thought wow, I don't believe he just told me that. And I stayed for 6 days, I stayed for the 7th day, and I stayed for 1 year. And for 1 year I walked every day. And it was totally opposite of being, basically I was in a structure, very confined structure. I walk in a straight line between 2 walls for 1 year, And it seems like you are in a prison. But it's actually, when I agree to be in that prison, I find way more freedom than I ever had in my head. And so it's very like counterintuitive sometimes. Like you need to do the opposite of what your mind is telling you, and then you'll be free. And it's actually one of my modalities working with people. They're coming to me with like saying, I've been doing this and this and this and this, and I thought, okay, just do the opposite. And it's like, it's not important what they actually said, just do the opposite. Because you will find that when you're agreeing to do the opposite of what you believe, suddenly you start to evolve, It's like, and it's actually a very common modality for me just to hear what you're saying and telling you to do the opposite. In a very kind of funny way, yeah? It's like...
the mind, it's so trained in these repetitive patterns of setting ourselves up for like further and further harm and suffering. I mean, it is good advice, absolutely. And it's interesting too, because here we're sitting in Wonderland. It's a beautiful paradise, really. It's quite a utopia. Everything is set up aesthetically. It's very beautiful. There's vegan buffets offered here with every meal. There's incredible shalas for yoga. Many, many other offerings here. So it sounds like you've set that container, you've set that stage. And then who are the people that are coming to Wonderland?
You talked about the space and everything, and I wanted to tell you that but the main ingredient that actually make this space is the people that arrive here. I don't think there is a certain filter at the door. But I will say that most people that arrive here, they are arriving alone, actually. There are couples, and there is like a mother-daughter thing, and there is like two friends that are coming. Yeah, but 90% of the people that arrive here, they arrive alone. But because of the setup here, the connection between the people is happening very quickly. So what actually I think that what makes this space special is the connection between the people that is happening. If it's between they are going to the class and going out of the class and sitting in the restaurant in a big tables and long tables, and it's like community tables, and they starting to have like random conversations. And what I really find it's fascinating that people talk with each other about their deepest life experiences that they never spoke with anyone else in the world before that, and they know this person for 48 hours. And it's like how this is happening. And I think in one way we're all very anonymous here, and nobody really knows us, and it gives us this sense of like, I can just do whatever I want because it doesn't count. It's like nobody is following me, nobody is like, I don't need to confined to my past in a way. So it allows people to be very free. And I think that actually it's something that is true to all of us. Like just think for a minute that nobody knows you. And you can do whatever you want. Nobody will count it against you, There is no accounting. There is no check and balances, It's like, and it's like, wow, it's so liberating, It's like, just you can be whoever you are, at that moment, and meet people at that place. And so it's like contagious. It's like a virus, It's like you're free and he's free, and I'm sitting next to you, and actually I'm free, and we are all free. So there is this sense of freedom in the space and light, and it allows people to go through changes and to experience themselves in so many ways. And so I cannot say there is an archetype of people that are arriving here. I will say that many people that talk to me here, many people say like, I don't know how I came here. It's like, it's not me. Like I'm not the one who will come to a place that offer a full day schedule and this food and this and that, and like I'm not this person. Like I'm quite shocked that I'm really enjoying being here. And it's, I think that's what characterizes many of the people that arrive here. They actually didn't think that they're going to even end up in a place like this or being in a place like this. So it's very of those type. Yeah.
Incredible. And it sounds like there's quite a force of a container here that just permission to be. I appreciate that. Whatever you are in this moment, not what you were 2 years ago or 6 months ago or 3 days ago. It's a landing of what is alive in you in this moment, and doing yoga every day and having meditations or walking meditation. Any of these practices, you do get to bring all of these subconscious or busy minds to the surface where there's time and space to witness them, right? So people are going through similar experiences, and there's a solidarity there, like a type of community. I really feel that here.
there is something to share about this. Is as a community of people who live here, but also reflecting to every guest that is arriving to visit us, if it's for a few days or for a few months. We live by one principle: do whatever you want, don't disturb anyone else. And the reason I'm saying is because a lot of people are afraid to come to like a place like this because they feel they will not fit to the rules. We actually don't have rules. So let's take smoking, for example. So yeah, we don't smoke in the restaurant and we don't smoke by the pool, but you can go and smoke on the side and have your cigarette. Nobody will tell you to stop smoking because you come here. And if you want to support of stop smoking, we'll support you stop smoking. But if you want to continue smoking, you can smoke. We try to respect the idea that there is other people around us, and if my action might disturb someone else, so I'm kind of trying to be mindful for that. So if I'll smoke, I'll go to the side and I'm not smoking in the middle where everyone is sitting. But you will not see no smoking signs in the space. It's like we don't try to enforce any rules or principles. We're just trying to allow people to be free and be considerate of one another. Now, there is many parties on the island, so we don't put loud music inside Wonderland to allow people to be in their space and they're quiet. But if they want to party, they can go out and party. I will not tell someone don't party, or I'm not going to tell someone don't drink alcohol. But look, if you're going to be drinking alcohol all day long and being drunk and disturbing other people, we might ask you to consider this. But we are not against anything in this. We're trying to be as free as possible, as open. And not to forget that each one of us has his own conditions and his own past history. And if I'm not smoking today, it doesn't mean that I didn't smoke yesterday. Okay? So we're all coming from our own path and kind of inviting everyone to be more at ease with each other.
It's a compassionate lens, and it's really, I think, creating a new earth, a new old way of being, right? Allow people to be. Yeah. And I really resonated with that story. You're sitting across from someone at the buffet and you're sharing deep things that you've never explored perhaps with someone else. Something very similar to me, for me, even happened, here at Wonderland. There is an energy, an allowance, a permission to be, to delve deeper into ourselves and connect with other people. Yeah. Wow.
For sure.
And yeah, when I say community too, it's really interesting. I feel like a ripple from Wonderland. Although they go back perhaps to their home country or they move throughout Thailand or go anywhere in the globe, they've still been connected here. They've experienced what it feels like to be, given perhaps the, not textbook of life, but the rules to this game, right? A bit of exploration.
Maybe access to the inspiration of reality.
Yeah.
Like what is possible. I always says, you want to have people around you, okay, devote your life to people. Like, I have many friends, I have many people I'm close to. Yeah, I'm devoting my life to my friends and my people. Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't buy insurance. I invest my time in my friends. My friends are my insurance. Mm-hmm. It's like I need to see where I put my resources. Yeah, mm-hmm. I devote my life to people, so there is people and there is support to each other and so on. And we can do it everywhere, if it's from our family or friends that we meet, and new people, and sharing hobbies. One of the best ways to find your people is asking yourself, what do I enjoy doing? Let's say I enjoy dancing. Okay, if I want to find my people, I should go dance. I enjoy painting, so I can go paint. And then I will find other people that have similar interests, so similar mindset and similar people, and so we can share more things together. And when we don't have hobbies and we don't share what we like to do in the world, so we're finding ourselves isolated. And that's, I think, the loneliness that many of us experiencing in the world. Because if you don't have hobbies and you only work and you only survive, well, you're going to feel lonely. You're going to feel lonely. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't work, yeah? We should work and take care of our families and be sustainable, and all of this is for sure. But also find ways to relate to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awaken the play. Yeah.
Co-create. Mm-hmm. Co-create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And from here, where this Wonderland was born, I'm hearing that people do come and go. It's quite transient. It's a moment in time for people. And it sounds like WonderVillage was born from Wonderland, but it is a bit more of an actual community, a collective.
Well, WonderVillage is basically, how do you call it, when you go to McDonald's and you supersize? Yes, there is this like upgrade, the make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So WonderVillage is basically just the next generation of Wonderland. We're going to have community that lives there all year round. We're going to have hospitality, so people for coming and going. Here in Wonderland, we are more focused in specific activities like yoga and meditation and all around it. In WonderVillage, we're going to have also art and music, and we're going to have more sports. Yeah, so it's basically just supersizing Wonderland into different activities and more people, but it's in the same path. And also we understand the needs of our community better, so WonderVillage will meet these needs on higher levels, let's say. For example, we live here with our families and kids, and Wonderland does not have enough facilities to provide the kids what they need, and the kids have like the community area in Wonderland, which is not enough for their needs. So in WonderVillage, we'll have a specific neighborhood for the families and for the kids to have everything that they need. So it's kind of upgrading and moving to the next phase of our life.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we need to remember that Wonderland was created like randomly. It wasn't a master plan. And we just arrived here and we needed a place to live. We were about 30 people. We looked for a place to live and we rented this resort. And slowly it became Wonderland Healing Center that you see. But WonderVillage is more planned, and it's kind of we're taking all the experience that we collected in the last 7 years in Wonderland and we apply it into the village.
Yes, and if you could help some listeners that are really profoundly impacted by what you're talking about, this utopia, this potential of community living where people can show up and live harmoniously. If you were to give any tips for people in terms of how this could be done?
I think that we need to try to find the simplest and most basic things and to let go of all the idealistic ideas about community and find the smallest possible group of people, can be one, to start moving into a certain direction. So for example, for me it started when I had this 4-bedroom villa that I rented, and basically all my friends used to come and to stay in the other 3 bedrooms. I stayed in one and they stayed in the other 3. And so slowly we just started to spend more time together. And that's a beautiful way to start a community. And slowly it wasn't enough, so we needed to rent another 2 villas, and we had a 12-bedroom complex. And slowly it wasn't enough, so we came to where Wonderland is today, and it was 40 bedrooms. But I think that if we try to collect now 20 people and co-create something, it will never happen. We need to understand that we need to form a solid leadership that will start to move towards something. And what this leadership need to be focused about is understanding that they don't really own anything. So other people can join them. Because usually when you start a project, you start to believe that you own this project. When you start to believe that you own this project, there is no place for other people to be next to you, because you are dealing with ownership. But when you start to move in a certain direction and you're very welcoming everybody to join you, and I'm not saying that you need to take on board everyone who comes, but slowly to allow more people to be with you and share responsibilities and resources together, so slowly it's become bigger and bigger. But we need to have a vision of 30 years forward and not 2 years forward. Meaning, I'll give it in a different perspective. A lot of people who are dealing with these new age modalities of healing and awakening and changing the world, and they're like living in an idea that in 5 years' time all the world will be different. No, it's bullshit. No, it's not going to happen. No. You need to have a vision of 1,000 years. And to understand that you in your lifetime will not see the end of it, and you're just playing a very small role in a way bigger process that's happening on the planet. And when you're coming from that perspective, you're actually becoming realistic. And when becoming realistic, your action will manifest in reality. Because if you're not realistic, it means that your actions will not manifest in reality, and you're delusionized. And it's not sometimes easy to hear it that you will not be here to see the result of your actions. But you know, when you plant a tree, you're not going to be the one who enjoying the fruits of this tree, because it's going to be the next generation that will enjoy it. It will take 7 years, 10 years from a seed to become a mango tree. Yeah? And when you go to the market and enjoy the benefits of buying a mango, you're enjoying the labor of someone who did the work 10 years ago. And it's the same thing when you're cultivating community or cultivating a project. When you think about how you're going to benefit from it in the next year, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem with the way we are trying to create project is that we see the problem that we have and we're trying to solve it. And it's like, no, it's not actually how it's going to happen. It's like you need to see the needs of society and understanding that in 1,000 years everyone will have it, and what is the seed that you can plant today in your next step that will slowly grow to be this solution in 1,000 years from now. And if you look at life from that perspective, you actually find solutions how to do things. So how you create a community, you take one person, starts to move, and you invite a friend to join him. And now these two people doing something together. Good. And then they meet someone on the road after 2 months, and it seems like that he wants to join. So he can join. And then after 1 year, we have 10 people. Okay, I think it's an amazing result. 5 to 10 people in 1 year doing something, you know, and slowly after 10, 15 years, you'll have 300 people living in a village. And that's basically our journey. And people think that because they have ideas, it's going to work. No, they need to do very small steps, one step at a time, and people don't have the patience for it.
That's the only word that's running through my mind is patience. Yes. Absolutely. And intentionality. And again, like reducing tension. I like how you said, like, nobody owns things, because again, that's me. I own this, and it creates separation and a story and an expectation. So it sounds like a lot of your life's work is devoted around the reality of life, A, and B, that we don't actually need to be shackled by these stories, right? And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can create change at the pace of Channel 2024 on planet Earth, not out of some, utopian illusion that we're trying to create out of, instant results. Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I think it's such valuable insights, and you've already devoted so much time and energy and experienced this reality. So I appreciate your words of wisdom in this big time. A question that I have for you, again, I'm just so enthralled by being able to communicate. Your role on planet Earth is really to have these conversations with people that approach you. So there's a desire from that person. Oh, I want to talk to Fluke. Like for me, for example, when I came to Inner Walk, you had talked about the game of life, and you ended it with saying, yeah, I'm open to conversation. So it would be voluntary action from that person. Oh, I want to meet myself perhaps a bit more, go deeper. It's a big question, but are you noticing a common wound or theme amongst humans that are coming? Is it truly the mind and thinking whenever you unravel everything, or is there a particular topic? Or
I say that I'm a very boring person, and people say, you're not boring, you're very interesting. And I say, no, I'm very boring because I have only one message, because everything I'm going to say will lead to the same point. And even people ask me, like, I was born in Israel, so now there is a big story in Israel now, and there is a big trauma there, and ask me, what do you think about it? And I say, I think the same thing about everything, all the time. And if it wasn't the truth, it wasn't the truth, then and now. And the truth is that we are being identified with ideas and the mind, and we are being identified with this, so we start to believe in certain things, and then we start to have problems. And it's not important if it's I believe in God, or I believe in Buddha, or I believe in this land belongs to me, or I believe that my parents did wrong to me. Everything that I believe in, it's what confines me to suffering. Now, I'm not saying that nobody hurt you in your life, and I don't want to take away the story of your life. But if you're able to step one step out of your story, this is actually a very beautiful reality around us. And I'm not saying that everyone around us will be able to do this. But if you can do it, maybe your reality will be beautiful, and then that's just enough, maybe. And so I think it's again the identification with the storytelling that goes inside of me that makes me suffer so much. And I think it's the story of all of us. And yeah, we've been hurt, we've been attacked maybe in our life, we've been wronged, for sure. I don't disagree about all of this, but for how many years this need to define my future? For how many years humanity needs to live stories that were written 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago? And I'm not saying they are not good stories. They are very interesting stories. I'm not saying that we don't need to learn from the stories, but we don't need to continue living those stories. And if those stories are suffering for us, for others, for the environment, maybe we need to let go of some of them. Maybe, little bit, some.
It's not looking good on planet Earth. Sure, we could welcome a change.
And you know, in many ways, it's actually looking very good here.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, it does not look good and it does looks very good. And like, just shift your perspectives to the right place and free yourself from the negative patterns.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And taking action in the direction that if it isn't working, if there is a cyclical story that you're shackled by, to really, try to bring awareness, exactly what you're saying. Observe, break the cycle, step away and take conscious action in the direction that serves you.
It's like being free from generational trauma and respect the generational process. It's like, you know, our grandkids, does they need to suffer from the same things that we suffer, or there is a place for us to let go of some things so they will not be raised on the same principles and ideas and continue to carry the same level of suffering that we carry today. And we are actually very lucky to live on this time in history. You know, 200 years ago, a child that was passing the age of 5 was a miracle. Yes? So there is a lot of good stuff happening. Yeah? Just that we need to let go of the holding back to the stories of the suffering.
Yeah, and it's that simple.
Well,
Can be.
And challenging at the same time.
Absolutely, the paradoxes, the immense paradoxes. Fluke, thank you. You've given us so much, but I will ask, we're coming to a close here, and do you have any final thought, idea, message for our listeners?
It's a good question. What would I say? I say go on your journey, explore your life, find those moments that you can be free from your environment, to just see what can be different, and maybe not trying to force too much, like easy. It doesn't have to be that difficult. And you know, the last thing that I will share, the word simplicity. It's one of the 3 basis teachings that come from the book of Tao. It says patient, compassion, and simplicity. And I really like this word. If it's complicated, you don't get it right. If it is complicated, it's not, you don't get it. It's not get it. If it's simple, you're probably getting it. It can be simple in thoughts and simple in actions and simple in manifestations, but just if it's complicated, something you don't get it right. It wasn't designed to be complicated. We have made it complicated.
With our minds.
Yes, and our ambitions and fears.
Yes.
Fears, a lot of fears creates complexity. Simplicity.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, I say we're coming to a close, but if there's anything that you feel called to share at all, you know, I would sit here and listen, and thankfully people can find you. Where can people find you?
Anywhere. I'm available in WhatsApp. It's not so difficult to find me through Inner Walk, through Wonderland, through any one of the project. And I will say that at this moment, I just want to acknowledge all the people that contribute to this thing to happen. You know, I'm kind of the face of many of the projects that I'm involved, but actually I'm not the one who's actually creating them or doing this work. There is so many people behind the scenes that, you know, help to prepare the food, to clean the spaces, to manage the schedule, to teach all the classes, the people that people don't meet, that actually allow all of this to happen. In our organization alone, there is at least 150 people working on daily basis, making all of this available for everyone around here in Copenhagen and all around the world, and all the people that volunteer and support, and all the other teachers and leaders that are doing similar work all around the world, and to just acknowledge all this work that is being given to this path.
It takes a village, and thank you, each and every one. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And Fluke, thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I truly hope that today's conversation was valuable to you. To learn more about today's guests, including links and resources related to everything discussed today, visit the episode page at soulplaycollective.com. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. So don't be shy. Send in your comments and let us know how each episode is resonating with you. If you'd like to support the podcast, the easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, and leave a review and/or comment. Sharing the show or your favorite episodes with friends or on social media is fantastic and super appreciated. And finally, for podcast updates, please follow us on Instagram at soulplay.collective and at Soulplay Collective on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate the love and support. See you back here soon.